that resonated with all who heard his voice. His carefree soul and unmatched energy filled rooms with light, reminding us all to live life as free as a bird. Inasmuch as his music unified Zambians from all walks of life, King Dandy was more than a musician. He was a friend. He was a brother. He was Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow young people of Zambia, as I speak to you today, I realize that your hearts are heavy with grief because just yesterday, we bid farewell to a music legend. I wish therefore to start by paying tribute to this icon who has left an indelible mark on our nation, Wesley Chibambo, better known as King Dandy Crazy. Dandy's music was not just a sound. It was a celebration of life, a rallying cry for the young and the young at heart. King Dandy was embodying the essence of the corporate people, a spirit of resilience, a hustle till you get it right attitude, and a never give up mindset that resonated with all who heard his voice. His carefree soul and unmatched energy filled rooms with light, reminding us all to live life as free as a bird. Inasmuch as his music unified Zambians from all walks of life, King Dandy was more than a musician. He was a friend. He was a brother. He was an activist and a mirror reflecting our dreams and aspirations. His words were a comforting embrace, and his laughter a sonic warmth that wrapped around us like a familiar blanket. Dandy spoke freely, with a bluntness that might have shocked many, but for us, it was a testament to his authenticity, a reminder that our voices matter, no matter how they sound. In his passing, we have not only lost a great entertainer, but a legend who gave us reasons to smile and dance, even in the face of adversity. As we continue remembering Dandy, we also remember 4 other souls lost in this tragic accident. These include Moses Mpundu, a passionate lecturer at Mulungushi University, who dedicated his life to shaping the minds of young people. Christopher Muyembe, also referred to as Chris Jules, an emerging music talent with a future as bright as the sun. Warren Lundulanga, fondly known as Bush Baby. Many of you will remember him as a loyal companion to King Dandy, who stuck with him from the very beginning of his music journey. And of course, Humphrey McCoffey, a vibrant young man of only 25 years, whose promise and potential will forever be remembered. As we grieve, let us not only remember their lives, but also recognize the urgent need for our government to enact stronger road safety measures. This tragedy must not be in vain. It should light a fire under us to demand a safer Zambia for all. In honoring their memory, we must rally together to create a future where no family has to endure such heartbreak again. May the souls of these 5 beloved brothers find eternal peace, and may we keep their memory in our hearts forever. Fellow citizens, my fellow young people of Zambia, as we embrace the new dawn of the 2025 year, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on our journey, a journey marked by both trials and triumphs. Today, I speak to you not just as your representative in Parliament, but as a fellow citizen who shares your hopes and concerns for our beloved country. a fellow dreamer, a believer in the immense potential that resides within each of you. I see the spark of hope in your eyes, the aspirations that drives you forward, and the burdens that weighs heavily on our shoulders. We stand together, not just as individuals, but as a powerful generation that is ready to reclaim our destiny and reshape our nation. This address to you, fellow citizens, and the young people of this country in particular, comes at a very critical juncture in our nation's history, a time that calls for serious reflection, unity, and bold actions. The past year of 2024 has tested our resilience in ways we could have never imagined, for we faced the harsh realities of a severe drought that devastated our agricultural performance. Our farmers, those who tirelessly work the soil to feed our nation, confronted unimaginable challenges, not only due to this drought, but also due to our government's failure to plan effectively for the farming season. Farming inputs were misallocated to the south, to the east, and of course to Lusaka, which areas were hard hit by drought, instead of prioritizing the northern regions that received good rainfall. Now, this oversight squandered the opportunity to build new food baskets in areas that could have thrived, which has left Zambian families with no means to feed themselves. This lack of foresight, coupled with the government's decision to sell our maize stocks in various years, deepened our food insecurities, driving mealie meal prices to unprecedented levels. If you go to many shops today, ShopRite as an example, the price of a 25 kg mealie meal bag is costing slightly over 400 kwacha. Now imagine those of our brothers and sisters who are working as maids, garden boys, and security guards. I mean those whose salaries remains unchanged for many years, and most of whom gets paid in ranges of 1,000 kwacha. Just think of how they are surviving. Many of us now face the grim of reality of hunger, exacerbated by a government that dismisses our plight as simply biblical, failing to learn from the very lessons of the Bible they are quoting. Because the Bible gives a very clear account that Joseph prepared Egypt for a famine. We too must therefore have and should plan wisely for our future. Sadly, this is something that this government has failed to do. As we seek progress, unfortunately, we grapple with an energy crisis that has plunged our communities into perpetual darkness. Many of our neighbors today goes for days without power, while the government, instead of seeking solutions, seems so intent in increasing tariffs, fully aware of our limited capacity to import electricity from the Southern African power pool. We have on countless times been advising this government that the short-term priority in addressing this crisis was to prioritize the completion of a 330 kV transmission line that the previous government started constructing from Pensolo in Serenge and ended in Kasama. This line, ladies and gentlemen, needed to have been connected to Tanzania so that we can connect ourselves with the East Africa power pool that has available power for us to import from as a short-term intervention. Further, intelligent patriotic citizens have offered alternative solutions to the energy crisis, including facilitating for talks between ZESCO and some power shipping companies. Yet their voices have been silenced by those in power. who prioritize their interests over the well-being of our people. This ongoing electricity crisis has not only disrupted our lives, but has crippled businesses, both small, medium, and large. Many of you young dreamers and doers have invested your hearts into small enterprises, which includes barbershops, hair salons, restaurants, and welding shops, hoping to create something meaningful for yourselves, for your families, and for your communities. Yet imagine this, working tirelessly only to be hindered by unbelievable electricity supply, leaving your dreams flickering like the very light that dim around you 24 hours a day. How can we then build a future when the resources we needed seems so far out of reach? This, unfortunately, is a reality too many of us endure today, as we remain chained to the lowest rung of the economic ladder, while the struggle and the so-called foreign investors reap the rewards of our resources. These investors are in fact prioritized by ZESCO, even in the supply of electricity, even when they have the capacity to pay for alternative power, while we, the citizens, are left to contend with the crumbs that falls from the high tables where these people who sit in offices sits alongside these oppressors. Note further, fellow citizens, that it is not just small businesses that are struggling. Our large manufacturing companies grapple with significant downtime due to load shedding challenges. Remember that when they cannot produce, they cannot sell, which means they cannot generate revenue. Yet these businesses, which provide jobs for our people, are still obligated to pay salaries at a time when they cannot make money. How do we then expect them to stay aloft without operational leverage? Just this week, we learned that Parmalat will be closing its production in Zambia. One thing remains very clear, that when businesses cannot operate optimally, they cannot provide jobs, and the ripple effect deepens the wounds of unemployment, particularly among the young people. Today, countless young Zambians confront the harsh reality of unemployment. Imagine a recent graduate full of dreams and aspirations, applying for one job after another, only to face rejections after rejections. Nearly 60% of our youth struggle to find work today. And these numbers represent more than just statistics. They are the faces of our brothers, our sisters, and many of our friends. Each figure tells a story of a dream that is deferred and a potential that is suffocated. I know how frustrating it is to feel overlooked in a world that often fails to recognize our talents because of us being youth. I walk that path every day and understand the weight of those dreams. Today, fellow citizens, the very foundation of our economy is crumbling around us. Our macroeconomic fundamentals, such as inflation, exchange rates, and the overall economic growth, have been severely undermined by the erratic monetary policies. Frequent adjustments to interest rates have created an unsustainable financial environment, leading to a lack of confidence among investors and businesses. This volatility has resulted in a critical liquidity shortage, making it increasingly difficult for our businesses to access the financing they need to thrive. My fellow Zambians, when businesses struggle, so do we. When small and medium enterprises cannot secure funding, they are unable to invest in growth, they are unable to hire new employees or to innovate. This stagnation further deepens unemployment and limits economic opportunities for many of our young people. Furthermore, our nation now grapples with a very oppressive tax regime, an extremely high cost of living, and runaway inflation that threatens to erode the very foundation of our economic stability. As young people, we find ourselves caught up in a vicious circle where our aspirations are suffocated by the very economic conditions that should support us. As many young people today struggles daily to meet ends meet, and watching as our dreams seems to slip further from our grasp. As we continue complaining of all these challenges we face today, we will not forget how some politicians continue to exacerbate this situation, but they'll still come to us during election time, recognizing the immense power we hold as young people, the power to change an entire generation. They will still come with promises of a brighter future, speaking our language. But once the votes are counted, they will still leave us to navigate our challenges alone, feeling used and unheard over and over again. Surprisingly, we don't seem to learn. Fellow young people, I am here to tell you that we can no longer continue to wait for someone else to come and change our circumstances. The change we seek lies within us. The young people are the change we have been waiting for. And so, instead of looking outward for help, we must look among ourselves. For we have the creativity, the innovation, and the determination to forge a better path, not just for ourselves, but for our entire nation. We must therefore start supporting each other. We must share our ideas and create networks that will uplift us all. Let us therefore envision a Zambia where we shall stand together, where we shall harness our collective skills and passions to build thriving businesses and vibrant communities. As we step into the new year of 2025, let us commit to being a support system for one another. Note this: our country today has so many young people with immense potential to take charge and lead. There is need, therefore, to be seen, to be heard. They just need to be understood, and they just want us to believe in their abilities. Yet too often, majority Zambian young people are painted with the same brush as the few young people we see on social media engaging in unproductive drama and useless activities. But in reality, we have so many young Zambians out there who are dedicated to addressing progressive issues and making a positive impact. These, fellow citizens, the responsible young people, should be a reason why young people should be given a chance to shine. Consider the stories like that of a young 27-year-old agronomist, Richard Kachungu, who is working tirelessly to engage fellow young people in sustainable farming practices. Richard has established demonstration farms to showcase modern climate-smart agriculture techniques, much needed practices as Zambia grapple with the impact of climate change. Through his Emerging Farmers Initiative, Richard provides hands-on training and mentorship to young farmers, empowering them with knowledge and skills to adopt sustainable methods to improve yields, to triple their incomes, and protect the environment. His efforts have inspired many young people to pursue a career in agriculture. The question to you all is, how could we not believe in Richard's potential, at least to even head a department in the Ministry of Agriculture, let alone to head the Ministry of Agriculture, so that Richard can inspire an agricultural revolution among young people. Richard's story is one of the many stories of many young people who are making significant impact in various facets of life. Yet, there are still many people who doubt the capacity of young people to lead, owing to the few young people who could have been making mistakes. Sadly, forgetting that there are elders who are equally making mistakes. But we've continued to entrust these elders with leadership from time immemorial. I am one of those who holds a view that, in fact, it is better for young people, especially those you have in leadership today like myself, to make mistakes so that they can learn through those mistakes. Because the mistakes of old people could actually be fatal. And so, I hold the view that we need to have many young people given chances to lead with their lack of experiences and the so-called immaturity, so that they can be made perfect through their imperfections. Fellow citizens, as young people, we stand at the forefront of a digital revolution. We have the unique ability to adapt to new technologies with ease and using them to connect with one another and to share our stories and opportunities to succeed in different endeavors of life. Our natural creativity enables us to exploit these tools to drive change, the change that we desperately need. We can therefore leverage on social media and digital platforms to mobilize our communities, advocate for our causes, and inspire others to join in our efforts to create a better and brighter future for Zambia. This is our opportunity to turn our vision into reality. Let us therefore be the generation that stands up and demands to be heard, a generation that takes action, for we have the power to craft our own narrative and create a Zambia that reflects our aspirations. I would be failing in my duties if I did not remind you, the young people of this beautiful country, that you possess this unique understanding of the complex socio-economic landscape that you navigate every day, and therefore your innovative spirit and your adaptability in the face of adversity is everything you need to chart the next path of our lives. I am inspired by the young leaders of our past, leaders like Kenneth David Kaunda, and that generation of young Zambians who confronted the heavy hand of colonialism. Instead of backing down and succumbing to the pressures of the oppressors, they joined hands, they mobilized and stood together against the tide of colonialism and fought for their freedom with unwavering determination. They believed that their voices mattered and that together they could challenge the status quo. This courage ignited a movement that changed the course of our nation's history. And today, it is our turn to ignite a new movement. Note, fellow citizens, that 60 years after independence, the struggle we face may differ in degree from those encountered by Kenneth Kaunda and his generation of young patriots during our nation's fight for freedom. However, the circumstances and forces at play are yet the same in their infinite variety and kind. Today, we confront the worst governance practices since the time of colonialism. Institutions of government have been decimated, with both the judiciary and the legislature now reduced to a mere tool in the hands of the executive. The disparities in our justice system are very alarming. For the very first time in the history of Zambia, we have witnessed the creation of two sets of laws, one for the privileged and another for the marginalized. And one set of laws for those groups of people who are close to the powers that be, and another for those who are not aligned to the powers that be, which is a very grave injustice. Those who belong to the ruling party will commit crimes and not be punished, while those who do not belong to the ruling party will commit the same crimes and will be made to rot in jail. Just as the story of a young man commonly known as Why Me seems to be spanning out. Some of our fellow citizens today face unfair trials and harsh prison sentences for alleged hate speech, while those whose tribal rhetorics is far more stronger walk freely, continuing to spew divisive language without consequences. Just last week, a cabinet minister made very derogatory remarks about a certain group of people, calling them monkeys. The same minister was calling the people of one region to be suffering from mental poverty. Have we forgotten how one senior member of the ruling party called the Catholic bishop a Lucifer? We all saw this. We saw these headlines in newspapers. And we can't therefore pretend we do not know what I'm talking about. Don't tell me we do not know what the minister meant and which ethnic group his tribalist insults were intended for. Yet, on the other hand, a member of parliament who said the people of Wengwa were less intelligent than the people of Lumezi is about to be jailed for the same statement. You can now see that the law has purposefully chosen to ignore the tribal remarks and the hate speech of that Minister of Education, just because he's a member of the ruling party. Yet the same law was quick to deal with the other MP who made similar remarks, just because he's from the opposition. My fellow countrymen and women, this is not the Zambia we envision. The laws of our land must be enforced fairly, with no exceptions. Justice must be blind and impartial, for this is the bedrock of a fair society. We cannot allow the scales of justice to tip in favor of some and against others. We certainly cannot and should not allow what George Orwell spoke about in his book entitled The Animal Farm, where some animals are said to be more equal than others. We should not have some citizens who are more equal before the law than others on account of where they hail from or what political party they subscribe to. Political intolerance and the shrinking of democracy have reached unprecedented heights, with a coordinated effort to silence dissenting voices. The rise of trumped-up seditious practices charges aimed at stifling political critics is very alarming. We have laws like the Proceeds of Crime Act that are rooted in jealousy and envy, which are being weaponized to persecute political opponents, which law actually contravenes the Constitution, which is our supreme law of the land. This law, fellow citizens, must be repealed. The archaic Public Order Act has been used for many years to stifle political activities of opposing parties. We have talked about this oppressive piece of legislation for many years. It is time to write the next chapter and remove it from our books of law. Let me stress, fellow citizens, my fellow young people, that even in the face of these hardships, let us not simply focus on the obstacles ahead. We must now embrace the remarkable potential that resides within us, the young people of Zambia. Our nation stands at a pivotal crossroads, right on the edge of what could be a golden age. The future we envision depends on the choices we are going to make today. If we, the young people, gets involved and makes the right choices, we can therefore unlock a level of prosperity and freedom that previous generations could only have dreamt of. However, if we make the wrong choices today, like we have done in the previous elections, we will continue to bear the weight of serious repercussions like we do today. Note, fellow young people, that those who forget their history have neither a past nor a future. For we must come to terms with our past in order to chart a good course ahead. We must remember the legacy of our founding father, Kenneth Kaunda, and his peers, Simon Mwansaka-Pwepwe, Harry Mwangankumbula, Scott Awina, and other countries unsung heroes. They fought not just for independence, but for a Zambia that celebrates its ethnicity, or rather ethnic diversity. They envisioned a nation where we stand together, united in our differences, and uplifted by our shared humanity. As we look to the future, therefore, let us reaffirm our commitment to their dream, honoring their sacrifices by upholding the ideals of one Zambia, one nation, not just in words, but in actions. While we confront a profound crisis today, it is essential to remember that even in our darkest moments, there exists a flicker of hope. This glimmer of hope, though faint, illuminates our path forward, reminding us that we have the power to shape our own destiny. Today, we, the emerging generation of young Zambians, stands as the hope, a generation that is determined to challenge the status quo, to rise against the systems that seeks to undermine our rights and limits our freedoms. We stand at the threshold of a new era. I therefore call upon you to embrace the movement for good governance, also being referred to as Ichaba Iche. That is, if you understand the Bemba language, you can refer to it as Kiabanike if you come from the northwest. You can call it Njabana if you come from the south, Sabanana if you come from the west. Of course, you can call it, like my tribal cousin from the east can call it, Chabafana, which is a revolutionary platform that is aimed at redefining how young people engage in politics. For far too long, we have been treated as mere pawns in a game of power, used as instruments for campaigns and violence. Our numbers have been counted only to fuel the aspirations of recycled politicians, while our voices have been drowned out in the chaos of election. But now, we are taking a stand. This movement is about reclaiming our power and rewriting the narrative. We are not just voters, fellow young people. We are the leaders in the making. Imagine a Zambia where the next generation of councillors, mayors, and members of parliament arise from among us, the young people, from you, the students, from community activists, and any young Zambian who is passionate about making a difference. Imagine that. Just as Kenneth Kaunda led our nation with vision at the age of 40, we too can rise to the occasion, for we have the passion, the energy, and the desire to lead. The mission of this movement, Ichabaich, is simple. That is to provide a platform for aspiring young leaders. This movement will therefore offer technical insights on how to navigate the complexity of elections, empowering our young people with the tools they need to succeed. We are going to offer financial support. For financial support or financial needs should no longer be a barrier. This movement is going to go out of its way to facilitate that for the young people who dares to dream. The time has come for a generation takeover in leadership. The movement for good governance, Ichabache, is more than just a political movement. We are the force of change, a call to action for every young person who has ever dreamed of making a difference. We will no longer be silenced. We will no longer be used. I am here now, fellow young people, to tell you this, that this movement is about to change that narrative. Whereas they will come to you to ask you to support their political ambitions, this movement is here to push you, the young people, who desires to sit at the table of decision-making for this country. This movement believes that it is you, the young people of Zambia, and your efforts that will change the course of our destiny. Instead, fellow citizens, we will stand united with our hearts and minds set on a common goal to forge a Zambia that reflects our aspirations, our values, and our unwavering determination to create a better future. Join us in this movement, Chabafana. Let us rally together, lifting our voices in unison as we strive to redeem our future or redefine our future and create a nation that reflects our aspiration and values. It is our moment to arise, to take charge, and to ignite the potential within ourselves and our communities. Just like Kenneth Kaunda and his generation, this is our moment to shine for our country. Let us build a country we can all be proud of, a Zambia where the leaders of tomorrow are ready to take the helm today, a Zambia where dreams are realized, where opportunities abound, and where we stand united as one people and one nation. Let us take inspiration from the young people of Senegal, who were empowered by the courage of a youthful Faye, who is now president, and Osman Sonko, to stand up against the fear of intimidation. The young people of Senegal embodies the spirit of change that Zambia desperately needs today. While many may expect us young people to be driven solely by the attraction of material wealth, let us instead be motivated by the vision of a better Zambia, a nation where we can reshape our political and economic landscape for the greater good. This commitment to our country reflects a form of patriotism that can neither be bought nor sold. Let us take action by organizing community gatherings. Now, if the system will stop you from gathering using the archaic Public Order Act, worry not. For technology now can allow you to meet virtually, and we should now be ready to exploit such tools fully. Let us engage in meaningful conversations and work hand in hand, for we cannot merely speak of change. We must become the change we seek. The movement for good governance is our only path towards that future we envision. It embodies our aspiration for a better Zambia, where our voices will be heard and our dreams will be realized. As we move forward, let us remember this, that the future is in our hands. Each one of us has the potential to ignite change and spark the light for all to walk in. I am therefore calling on all young people of Zambia who desires a better country. I won't forget the women, and certainly I won't forget patriotic elders, and especially those who desperately need change. Please come and join the movement for good governance, also being called Ichabaije. For it is said that alone you are weak, but together we are strong to confront any obstacle that is preventing us from taking the lead. Let me mention, fellow citizens, that starting this month of January, the young people of this movement will start raising resources through daily, weekly, or monthly contributions to start transforming the lives of many young people who have become victims of the harsh economic reality. We hope to start investing in the economy through our contributions, because we do not think that it is normal for a country's economy to completely be in the hands of foreigners. You see, hope is on the way, and now is the time to start dreaming bigger and start dreaming of a brighter day tomorrow. But most importantly, it is time for us to make these dreams a reality and to take affirmative action. May God bless all the young people of Zambia. May God bless all the Zambians. May your aspirations be met with opportunities, your voices amplified, and your potential recognized. Each dreamer among you carries the hope of a brighter future, not just for yourselves, but for the entire country of Zambia. Let us therefore stand together, united in purpose, as we shape the future we envision. May God bless our beautiful country, Zambia. I thank you.